Howdy folks, and welcome back to the workshop. In today's episode, I'm starting something new called Chasing Perfection. Now, perfection is something that a lot of makers, especially myself, I know that is never something that I'm going to be able to achieve. I'll never be able to achieve the perfect knife. But I can keep chasing that mark, and that mark will just keep getting further and further away, in which case will make my knives better. So, today, Chasing Perfection episode 1. We're going to be making a feather Damascus fighting knife for the Lost Pines Knife Show in Bastrop, Texas, September 30th and October 1st. I'll have a table there. You can come out and see me. But without any further ado, we're going to hop into designing the fighting knife. So let's go. So pretty much this right here is what we're going for. This is my EDC. It is called the Ridgeback. This one is studded with some red rag micarta, and it's a 5160 blade. This is a 7.5 inch overall EDC, 3.5 inch blade, 4 inch handle, so on and so forth. But I need to scale it up because for the knife that we're making, blade's got to be at least 7 inches. So we're going to scale this up and pretty much be making this but larger. So let's start drawing. All right. So here is the blade design. We got a 7 inch blade from front of the guard to tip. And yeah, so I might edit the guard shape a little bit in here. I might edit how high I bring my bevels, but I really kind of want it to look about like that. And then back in this area of the handle, we will be doing some checkering or stippling or some kind of texturing depending on what material I decide right here. Might also add a front spacer up here in between the guard and the handle material, but that will come at a, well, after I start playing around with the metal. So let's go play around metal and try not to get burned. See y'all out there. So here is our starting bout of steel. This is 8 pieces of alternating twist Damascus. Yeah, so pretty much left hand, right hand, so on and so forth all the way throughout the billet. We'll tack each of these, put a nice piece of handle material right here, heat it up, forge weld it, and then drive our wedge through the middle of this to feather it all in. So, all right, well, this is the bearing to my 4 inch contact wheel, my Broadbeck Ironworks grinder, and it should spin both ways, and it spins neither way. So that will sling a belt off on you in a heartbeat, but we are going to try to fix this up. So yeah, let's go. Always come to complete stops at stop signs. And remember, never use your blinker. All right, stop 1. No help whatsoever. On to stop 2. Okay, so stops 2 and 3 didn't have it, but luckily stop 4, the local dirt bike repair shop, they had my bearing. So let's get back to the shop because I absolutely despise town and get this whole thing put back together. So let's go. Belt sander is fixed. It's definitely patchwork. I'm gonna put it in order for the right bearings, the bearings that come in it. But it works for now, so we will be able to keep trucking with the project today. Okay, so we're getting ready to do the feather cut. I've got the 2 separate pieces of the billet in kerosene. I'm about to light the forge and let it heat up. do a fluxless forge weld because flux absolutely destroys the inside of your forge. So we're gonna do that and then take it over here to the press and get a little squish together, make sure everything stays nice and clean and forge welded. And then we will go and split it right down the middle. And we'll crush it down a little bit, draw it out into our blade. So let's cross our fingers and get to this. Okay, so I lied a second ago. What I actually did was drew it out to 7.5, and we're gonna cut it up and get it 3 high. So we took those 8 bars, crushed them down. So it's 8 lines, and we're gonna stack it back up 3 times. So it's gonna be 24 layers of twist, and then it's gonna be feathered. So probably gonna be a busy pattern, but it's gonna be freaking neat. So let's let this billet cool down a little bit, and then we will cut it up. So hope y'all enjoy it. Okay, so I know I said earlier that we were heating up the forge for the feather cut, but now we really are. I've done some extra stuff. I'm gonna pull the billet out of the kerosene and show y'all what I've done. Okay, so after some minor issues forging, not massive issues, but enough to where it made me question if I was going to even get this billet. So I guess mildly massive issues. We have the billet, and there is enough to get the knife from. So I will be making the tang longer, of course, but yeah, happy days. So we're going to get this cut out and kind of just not have any more problems, hopefully. So yeah, so I've looked at the pattern fresh out of quench, or not out of quench, out of test etch, and I'm just not happy with it. It's an interesting pattern. I will still finish this knife out, but it is just absolutely not at all what I want for this purpose. This is a good knife. This will still be a great knife, but this is not the knife that is, like, in my opinion, going to help me get closer to perfection. So let's start another billet of steel. It's 18 layers, 3 inches long, alternating 10, 84, 15, and 20. We're just gonna draw this out, crush it into C's, stack it back up, and make our W's. So I'm gonna pick back up with the stack of W's right before the feather cut. So I'll see y'all then. 36 layers of W's, that's what we're picking up right now. I'm going to forge weld it out, drive my wedge to the middle of it, create our feather pattern. Bada bing, bada boom. We're gonna have a nice and neat feather, unlike the last time. I'm not going to draw this one out too much. I'm going to try to keep it as uniform and as pristine of a feather as possible. So let's make a knife. Okay, so going in for the feather cut on this second billet, and I have my new and improved feather cutting wedge. It's a lot bigger, so I can do some larger billets without any problems, but yeah, you got to keep everything hot or else it's going to really stick to everything. So it keeps getting stuck to my wedge, and I read somewhere that if you add an oil to your wedge, it will kind of help not have that issue. And so I'm adding just some of my Parks 50 to this. I don't know if that's the right oil or not. The post I was reading just said oil. But anyway, yeah, so I'm just trying to get a good coat on here before I go in for the last push on this feather. And I mean, it kind of seemed to work. It could have just been because I made it all the way to the bottom of the feather, but I mean, it kind of seemed to work. So yeah. Okay, so the forge is heating up again. We have already split the feather billet. We are now going to forge weld it back together and draw it out so that we can create our blade from it. So, enjoy, I guess. Alright, well, I'm not going to bore y'all with my absolutely terrible voiceover skills, so I'm just going to let y'all listen to some music while we forge out the rest of this little area. It might not look like it on camera, but it's starting to get dark and I don't have lights in the back of my shop. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night for the video, and I will see y'all in the morning. Gotcha. Anyway, it's the next morning and we're just gonna start forging in the tang on this fighter. Unfortunately, it has some design flaws, so I can't push more than about an inch before anything hits the receiving end of my plate, where the plate goes into the holder. Yeah, that thing. Anyway, so now you're gonna watch me fail to add a push rod or pushing rod or whatever you gotta want, a helpful forging little tool right here. And I'm trying to run the press with my knee the whole time while I'm holding the tongs and getting everything in there. And no work. Not gonna work. But you know what? I'm going to try it again anyway, and let's see if I can do it, and nope. Well, that's how that goes, Got to do what you can. So instead, we're just gonna do the old-fashioned way, with a hammer and an anvil. So, enjoy watching me do this. Alrighty, everybody. So y'all just watched me forging the tang on that there Feather Damascus fighting knife. Late last night, it got dark. I don't have a light set up, so I really wasn't able to film too much. But I did draw the billet out all the way and into a basic knife shape. But then this morning picked up forging out the tang. Now it's time for us to grind in our profile and then maybe get a little sneak peek at this pattern. We'll figure it out as we go along. Appreciate y'all sticking around so far. It's gonna be fun. And yeah, I guess let's start grinding. Hey, so as it would turn out, you actually have to hit record to well, to record yourself grinding. But hey, blade's profiled. It's looking snazzy. Got our harpoon point in there. Got everything looking good. I kept the tang nice and long so that I have a good handle to hang on to whenever I flip it around and start grinding later. But yeah, so there's the blade profiled out. Pretty happy with that look. Now it's time to square up the shoulders. They're at the tang, and yeah, knife. So we're now on day 5 of this build. I'm having a hard time getting it set up to where I can video myself grinding and have the camera from falling over, or keep the camera from falling over. So I'm just gonna pick up with the bevels already on the blade, getting ready to go in for heat treat, because that's gonna be the easiest for y'all to watch and the easiest for me to film. I apologize, I'm working on getting a better filming setup because I really do enjoy making these videos for y'all. And if you're enjoying the video so far, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. So yeah, bevels. Okay folks, so our bevels are roughed in. I've not checked the pattern yet, so I guess now is as good a time as any to go do that. So let's check our pattern out. Going into the etch, a little swirly swirl into the ferric chloride. Actually, that's not ferric chloride, that's sodium bicarbonate and water. And oh my goodness, it's better than I could have expected. This is probably the best pattern I've ever made. Man, that's, oh man, oh. Alright guys, so this is my home-built ghetto kiln, and it is heating up to 1,000 degrees right now. Now, this is really should be running on about a 50 amp breaker, but I have it running on a 30 amp because don't have 50 amp wired up yet. It is coming. So I have to step it up. So it's going to go from, you know, where it was sitting at about 88 degrees all the way up to 1,000, and then I will step it up from there until I hit the temperature that I'm going to start my anneal at, or my grain refining normalization cycle at, which will be about 1,600 degrees. I'm going to do 1,600 degrees, and then I'll drop it slowly down to about 1,200. I'll let it sit at 1,200 for a little while, and then I'll bring it back up to 1,525 degrees and quench it into some warm Parks 50 fast quench oil. So I guess we'll pick back up with the quench. All right, the blade's heated up to 1,525 degrees. This is 100 degree Parks 50 quench oil. We're about to quench it. So. And green beans, so I think helpful. Go straight. As there. So for the front spacer here, I've got a bronze and silver alloy that I make, and I'm going to put a groove right along this line, and then that will probably be all of the tooling that I'm going to be doing to this front spacer. But we're going to cut that in with some needle files and have a good time. So I've got this pine 1.5 by 1.5 and I've already got a nice little rough edge on this this fighter here. It does shave hair, so we're just gonna give this some wax into here, make sure everything's good to go, and then we can jump into hand sanding. So I guess we just do it. Alrighty, you guys, so the blade is sanded up to 600 grit, and I feel like honestly that's a good enough spot to stop for today. Now, we'll pick up next time with guard, front spacer, and handle. Alright folks, so I've got a block of walnut here. This is a piece of walnut burl from a tree on my property. So we are going to go ahead and get this handle cut out, or ground out I should say. Ground out, and start making sure that everything is looking good on the blade and go from there. But yeah, walnut burl, very beautiful, very wonderful. Can't wait to see how it looks on this wonderful feather Damascus blade. So at this point, I really only had a day to finish all this, so I got kind of behind. And
yeah, so everything was looking good up until that point. I was cutting in my border and found an unfilled fissure in this glorious walnut burl. So
and the guard, I'm tickled with how the guard.
Now we start again.
I really like that.
Oh man, look at that!
My favorite part.
Let's wash this coffee off here. Man, that pattern is just gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous. Now the guard. The etch on the guard looks really good. I'm really happy with the cross. I'm really happy with this whole thing actually. Buddy, well here's the piece all finished up. Damascus cross guard came out amazing. Loving the pattern. That black rich light handle just, oh. And the bronze and silver spacer polishes out like chrome. Unfortunately, I did not win the best fighter. It went to a very, very, very talented smith. But I am still happy with the performance that I put out. And I'm still happy with the craftsmanship of this blade. I definitely feel like it pushed me closer and closer to perfection. So, with that, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for watching. I'll be posting more videos more frequently now, probably more short form content, not short form, but shorter videos, you know, 10, 15, closer to that type of stuff. But with that, y'all stay safe, stay sharp, see y'all around.